Okay, welcome to the workshop on the introduction to R. Okay, so for those who are listening only the recording, we spent the first 5 minutes to have the opportunity to get the software installed on their computer. So hopefully everyone has the R and RStudio installed on your computer. Okay, so let me get the slide ready. Okay, and also the this slide is uploaded on my Google website. So here's the link where you can download the slide, and also the script file and the data file can be downloaded from here. Okay, so it's at sites.google.com/site akamada/r-tutorials. Okay, don't miss this website. I'm just kidding. Actually, I made the this web address available for the first few slides, so so that I can move on, and you can still have a chance to take a note. But it's smaller now. Okay, so by using the first 5 minutes, I went through the how to install the R and RStudio. So I assume that we can skip these two slides, and let me go on to the next slide right here. Okay, so this is the handout that I handed out, and I entitled this slide as a recommended work management on RStudio. So it is just a recommended, and I like to emphasize that this is not the only way that you can manage your work, but actually this is how I do, and I know that some other people do in different ways, but the reason that I'm sort of forcing you to learn this is that this is one very challenging part of using R from my observations. Basically reading the data and how to manage your work, that is a quite challenging things, and I have observed that is one major reason that the people kind of fail to stick with R. So I decided that, okay, so maybe I can just tell people that, okay, this is how I do it, and this is how I recommend you to do. Okay. Okay. Just to my presentation is actually based on this flow chart. So that's why that I handed this sheet of paper so that you can reference where we are. Okay, but just to give you a overview, but to start a new work, first create a new folder, that is going to be your working directly, and then to copy the data to that working directly, and they open the RStudio, and they open a new R script file. And the next step is also important. Identify the path for the working directly. I will show you how to do, and then set the working directly. So it's very important to use R, to set the working directly, to let the R know that where you are, and anything that the R reads in, and also anything R writes out, are going to go to the working directly. So it's very important to make sure that the R knows where you are. Okay, and then once you have done it, and then read the data file, that's step 8, and then start writing the syntax to do something, manipulate data or do the analysis, and then run the target syntax, and occasionally save your work, and this cycle typically goes on and on, because that there shouldn't be only one thing you are going to do. And then when you're done, your work may not be completely done, but in any case, you will stop the work, and then you may resume that work. That's actually this cycle. Okay, all right. So that's the overall work management plan on any work that you can do on R. Right? Okay, so steps 1 and 2. Let me talk about those 2 steps at once. But as I said, the first step is to create a new folder, and as I said, this is going to be your working directly. And then the step 2 is to copy the data file. So I have a screenshot for my own case, but I created a new folder and then provided the appropriate name. Okay, so in this case, I created the folder called the session one, pretty much indicating that this session. And then within that folder, I copy a data file that I want to use or analyze. Okay, I will talk about the kind of the data file, but the R has a flexibility to read in the many different kind of the data formats. And I would say the strongest is the text-only file, like a comma delimited format. But right now, it can read the special, formatted file like SPSS file, Stata file, SAS file, and you name it. And pretty much R can read in any kind of file. But I think that's actually one challenge for many people, how to read in the data. So I like to emphasize that part too. Okay, but my assumption is that many of you have worked on the data on the SPSS, so that's why that I chose SPSS as an example. But I'd like to emphasize that the SPSS is not the only data format that the R can handle. And as I said, my perception is that the best way to handle data is actually by the text-only data, specifically CSV, comma delimited format. Okay. All right. Feel free to ask any question, even though that I'm recording your voice. Okay. May I move on? Oh, by the way, data actually I uploaded to the this my website here, indicating here, as well as the data file is available from here too. So you can download from here or from the website, either way. But the important thing is that I like you to copy your data in the working directory that you have created. Okay, just like this. Okay. All right, and the step 3. Which is right now on the green box on the flow chart. Okay, you can open the RStudio just like opening other programs on your computer. Just like double click on the icon, or that if you're using Mac, just a single click on the what is that, launcher on the bottom or the side, depending on how you customize your computer. And then RStudio will automatically link to R that you have. Okay, and then this is a screenshot of how it may look like. This is a screenshot of the Windows, but if it is a Mac, it will look like this. Okay, all right. Or actually Linux, if you're using the graphical user interface, it will look exactly like Mac interface actually. All right. And then, oops, the next slide, the next step is the open a new R script file. Okay, so that's where that we write our syntax, to do something. Okay, in order to do that, we need to open a new script file. To do that, essentially, we have to specify open a new script file. But the one easy way to do is to click this icon. Which is right here on the RStudio window. And then if you click right here, you get the pull-down menu like this. And there are many different choices. But for now, what we need to choose is the R script. Okay. In a third workshop in about a month, I'm hoping that I will talk, I'll be able to talk about the R markdown, which is the kind of the documents that you produce, the documentation of what you do on R in one document, including the analysis, your comments, and the graphics. Everything will be produced as the one document, either HTML or PDF or Word document. So that is one of the very, very powerful feature of the RStudio. And that's my plan. I like to present that in a third session. Okay. So anyway, so if you choose that R script, new R script, Windows will look like this. And actually, this part is the new part. This is where the R script file window. This is where we type the our code, our syntax to do something. Okay. So just to show you on live on my Mac, this is how I do. That's it. Okay. And then the next slide. Now we are step 5A, right here. Okay. Identifying the paths for the working directly. So if you have worked with the DOS, I don't know how many you have done it, but the working with the DOS, you always have to know the path, full path by characters. But of course, these days by using the Windows or the Mac, we really don't pay attention to it. So it's kind of hard to know the path, but that's how the R works. R requires us to specify the path. But the good news is that by using RStudio, there is a way to output the your path by following the pull-down menu, point and click approach to specify a working directly. Okay, so my recommended approach is that for the first time to work on your new project, specify the working directly by the point and click, and then that way it will output actually a command including the path to set the working directly. Okay, which is right here, and then copy and paste this line to a new R syntax window, so that the next time you come back to the work, you can just run that line to set the working directly. So that is a strategy I would like to recommend. Okay, I like to make sure that it's recording. Yeah, it is recording. Yeah, good. Okay, so in order to do that, on RStudio, there is the main menu called the session. And then under that main menu, there is the sub-menu called the set working directly right here. And then another sub-menu called the choose directly. And then in that way, actually, it will pop up, the dialog box will pop up so that you can choose the right folder to specify as a working directly. Okay, and then if I do that, it will automatically, as I said, output the command, what you did in the command form. In the Windows called the console. In the console window, you will output the command and the paths. So you basically copy and paste that command to the syntax R script window. Okay, let me close the door. Okay. All right, so let me show you what I mean. Okay, so in the R, there is the main menu called the session, and then under the submenu, set working directly, and they choose the last one, choose directly. And then it will pop up the dialog box like this. Okay, basically, this is a finder in Windows, that is an Explorer, basically. And then choose the your working directly. Okay, so my case is, okay, it's right here, and projects, and okay, where is it? It's kind of messy. Right here. Our tutorial, Simon's Workshop 2018, Session 1. This is my working directly. Okay, and then highlight that working directly, and then click on Open. And then notice that the in the bottom of the console right here, it outputted a command. Okay, so it's kind of small. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, well, this is the another demonstration, but we can change the font size. Okay, and go to Tools and the Global Options, and then Appearance, and change the font size maybe to 14, and then Apply. So I get the much bigger font right now. Is it readable? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I was saying was that copy the entire line like this. Okay, I copy the first space too. Okay, and then paste up here, like this. And then if you save this syntax file and the next time you come back to this work, you can run this line. Okay, I will show you how to run, line by line later. But basically that's the what it takes for R. You write a syntax and then run the line. Okay, so now you have a line to set the working directly. Okay, for the next time. But as I said, I already have set the working directly for now because by the point and click method. But again, this is for the next time that I open the R. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. I know that we have a very limited time, and I have about 30 slides. So that's kind of ambitious to cover 30 slides in the 60 minutes. So when I teach a class, actually for 1 hour, I pace myself about 15 slides for 1 hour. But this time I have 30, so I don't know if I can cover everything. But if not, I will, continue the rest of the materials for the second session, or I can speak twice as fast as usual. Okay, the step number 6. Set the working directly. Okay, I think I explained, but at this point, working directly has been already set by the point and click operation, as I said. And as I said, next time you open this script file to go back to the existing work, and then you can just run this line. You don't have to go back to the point and click. Okay. All right, so that'll be very quick setting up the working directly for the next time. But the first time, my recommendation is again to go through the point and click approach to have the RStudio output the command and the paths for your working directly. Okay. All right. All right. So this is a little bit sidestep from the this flowchart, but I like to talk about how to run R syntax. Okay. Let's say that the let's assume that we have come back to this work, rather than initiating the new work. Okay, and let's assume that we have to run this syntax, this line, and then I will show you how to do. And there are many different ways to do it actually, but some of them are here. And one is place the cursor on the target line, and then click on this button, which exists in right here on the window, or we can use the keyboard shortcut, shortcut keys. If you are using the Windows, it should be Control and Enter, and if you are using a Mac, it should be Command and the Enter. Okay, so those are the keyboard shortcut. And also, it is possible to run multiple lines sequentially at the same time, so that you don't have to click on the run button, click line by line. So if in order to do that, you need to highlight all the target lines that you want to run sequentially, and then either click run button or use a keyboard shortcut to run that chunk of the line. But actually, my preference is almost always the run line by line, but it really is the matter of their preference, I think. But one caution is that when you run the multiple lines sequentially by highlighting, you have to highlight the entire line. You cannot just highlight the start in the middle of the line for the first line or something like that. So you have to start highlighting the beginning of the first line until up to the end of the last line that you want to run. Otherwise, it will give you error message. Okay, but in order to run line by line, that your cursor doesn't have to be any specific place actually to run that line. So I will show you what I mean. So right now, I have my cursor right in the middle of that line, right? And then I can click this button to run, and then it's just fine. Okay? And actually, I can have my cursor at the end of a line or the beginning of a line. Well, beginning of a line is pretty much the default, but doesn't matter where. But if I want to highlight the target line to run, I have to highlight everything. Okay, so what I mean is like this. Okay, and then I can run it, and then it doesn't give me any warning or error, so which means that it ran. But what I was saying was that okay, if you fail to highlight from the real beginning of the line like this, okay, and if I try to run this, it won't run. It gives me that okay, I don't understand that command, basically. Okay, so that's what I was talking about. So if you want to highlight again, you have to highlight from the beginning of the line to the end of the line. Okay. All right. Okay, that's how to run R syntax. Okay. All right. So next step number 7, read the data into R. Okay, as I said at the beginning, R can read several different data file formats, including SPSS, CSV, SAS data, Excel, and the list goes on. Okay, for example, that's actually my favorite data format, CSV. Comma delimited, or what is that? CSV really stands for comma separated variables, probably, but I tend to say comma delimited format. Okay, hold on a second. Come in. That's okay. All right. So in order to read the CSV file, actually there's a function called the read.csv as a part of the base package. So it's quite straightforward. But for example, in order to read the SPSS file, we will use the function called the read underscore SPSS. That is actually not part of the base package. And actually, we have to install additional package called the Haven. Okay, so that Haven contains the function called the read underscore SPSS. So in short, in order to read in the SPSS file, we have to install additional package called the Haven. Okay, but good thing is that the I know like Denise uses Stata, so Stata can be read by the Haven package too. There's the actually command called the read DTA or read underscore Stata function to read the Stata file too. Okay. And the last comment I have on this slide is reading Excel files is a little bit more tricky, actually. I know a lot of people love Excel, but reading data from Excel to R takes a little bit more effort, actually. Especially, when we are using Excel, we tend to have the additional, flares, right? Because Excel is so handy to make the sheet look so nice, and those features actually interfere a little bit. Okay, but it's still possible, and there are a number of the packages and functions that allows you to read in Excel data. So, so this is just an example. Yes.
For the read Excel, that's for like files that end in .x or .lsx, right? The Excel.
Yeah, name of the package is the read Excel.
So, yeah. But if I wanted to, like from Excel, and I save the data file as a .csv.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't need the this package. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So yeah, well, thank you for asking that question, because the the reason I really like to manage the data by CSV format is actually you can use Excel to manage the data, because Excel can open the CSV file just like the spreadsheet. So when data management stage, you can manage the data just like on Excel. Only thing is that you can really add the colors or fancy stuff that Excel can do, but CSV file is manageable on Excel too. That is the good part of the CSV. Okay. All right. And next slide. Again, a little bit of the sidetrack, but let me talk about the packages on R. okay? Because I mentioned that in order to read the SPSS file, we need the Haven package, okay? Okay, the question is probably, okay, what is a package and how can we install, all right? All right, so I said R comes with only limited set of the base packages. Well, actually, base package, that's a one package actually. And plus there's some other, default packages. But realistically, to do something we want to do, we almost always need to use other packages than the default packages. So it will be the part of your routine to install new packages, install and load new packages. Okay. So for example, right now we really need the Haven package to read in the SPSS. Okay. Yeah. So that's what it is. Okay. So the next slide, for example, I will show you how to install the Haven package. All right. There are two ways. One is to use the command. Okay, if you want to write out the command or syntax on the script file to run that line to install the package, you can type install dot packages and parentheses and give a double quotation and the name of the package. So in this case, Haven. Okay, and actually this is not how I recommend, but I wanted to show you that it is possible, because the reason is that we only need to install package once. Okay, so if you have the command line to install the package as a part of your script file, you have to skip that line every time that you go back to the script file, or erase it. So if you erase it, it really doesn't make sense to type for me. So that's why I really don't recommend, but it is possible. Okay. And the second choice, this is how I recommend. Alternatively, install by point and click operations, because it only requires one, so it is not really cumbersome to do the point and click operations. In order to do that, go to the Windows on the lower right corner. Okay, I will show you of the RStudio right here. This is what I'm talking about, and then click on the Packages tab, and then click on Install. And then you will see the new dialog box pop up. And then you type in the name of the package here, and then click on Install. That's how we can do. Okay, I will show you right on the R. Okay, so here, click on the Packages. Well, it was already chosen. And then click on Install right here. And you will see a dialog box, and this is where we need to type in the package that we want to install. In this case, Haven. Okay, let me try. Start typing, and then good thing is that it will show a list of the packages that you can install from this dialog box based on your typing. Okay, so by typing H, it has a list of the all the packages that we can install from here. So if I type the next letter A, it will narrow down. Okay, and then V and the Haven is only one. So this is good. I like it because if I totally rely on my typing, sometimes we mistype, right? And then it won't run. Okay, by this, I can avoid the mistyping of the name of the package quite well. And since those names of the package are so creative, and it's kind of hard to follow actually. But this case, it's not that difficult. But by clicking on the name of the package, that will do. And then click on install, and then it will start installing the package just like this. Okay, so depending on the package, it may take time, but in this case, it was quite fast. Okay, but actually, this operation actually requires an internet connection. Okay, because when you ask the RStudio to install the package, the default is the downloading from the cloud server. Okay, so your internet connection is essential to do that.
Okay.
Yes.
I noticed that yours only did like one line down here in your console.
Mhm.
Mine did multiple, like a lot of multiple things, and the URL that it's pulling from is different in each of them. And I
Or-
think it was successful ultimately, but what is
Oh,
that?
right here? Are you talking about right here?
So after I clicked to install Haven,
Mm-hmm.
in the console on the bottom left,
Oh, okay.
that red line that says like try
I
URL.
see. Okay. So probably that is for the first time that you install package, probably RStudio is asking, okay, which server you like to download from. Does it sound right?
Well, it looks like it downloaded a different amount. Like there's 819 kilobytes, 154, 1.9 megabytes, 4.2 megabytes.
Oh, I see. Okay. So the reason is that probably I already had the Haven package installed. So for the first time you install, many cases, those packages are dependent on the other packages. So my guess is that in your case, since it was your first time to install the package, it will try to install all the related packages required to run the Haven. So you're talking about the messaging here, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are simply the keep you updated, keep you informed, what have been done on R. So yeah, if you see many items in here, which means that it required to install the other stuff as well. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Wait, did you just say if it asks me, do you want to install from sources the package which needs compilation? Do I say yes?
Let me see. Wow. I would say so. Yeah. I don't think I don't think I remember that kind of message. Yes, Paul.
Just a quick comment. I had an older version of RStudio,
Mm-hmm.
and when I try to install Haven, it notifies me that
Oh yeah.
Haven would not install
Oh.
on the older version. So
Oh.
this will
How,
happen.
I'm having the same issue.
oh yeah. How? What is the version you have?
I had 3.0.1. So I've now just reinstalled RStudio. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Okay, but thank you. You just install RStudio, right?
No, I've used it before, but I
Oh.
used a tidy text package, so I don't know.
Oh, I see. Okay. So what happened if you say yes?
Well, I said yes, and now it's telling me I need some sort of command line developer tool.
Oh,
Get
I
text
see.
code.
Okay. So probably better to install the newer version of the RStudio then.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, Haven is not that old, not that new, but it's new. Did I say something strange? It's not old actually. It's quite. It was released in 2016. Yeah, so it's been only a couple of years. So, as I remember, maybe 15. Okay. Well, I apologize for the inconvenience there. Okay. All right, so let me go on. And then the next slide, 16, still a little bit of a sidetrack, but the load a package. Okay, so now you have installed the package, but installing a package doesn't mean that you can use the package. In order to use the package, you have to load the package. That sounds very confusing, but that's how it works. Okay, but good news is that you only have to install once. Okay, but every time you start a new work or every time you come back to the existing work, you have to load the package. Okay, so install, load. Okay, on our Word, there are different things. Okay, you got it? Okay, so for example, to load the Haven package, there are again two different ways. One is the run a command. using the library, and then parentheses and the name of the package. And actually, for loading a package, this is how I recommend, because we have to do this every time we come back to the work, okay? As opposed to the installing. Installing only once, so I don't mind doing by point and click, but for loading the package, this is something we have to do every time we come back to the work and replicate the work. So I prefer to do this by running a command. And the command is quite short. Just the library, parentheses, name of the package. So usually, when I have the work, the first part of the script is a list of the library commands for the packages that I need to do the work that I have in that R script. Sometimes list of the 4, 5, 6 packages actually. Okay. And alternatively, we can load the point and click operation, although I don't recommend because this will be cumbersome. If you need to do this every time you come back to the work, that will be cumbersome to do. But there is a way to do, okay, which is the just check mark the name of the package that you want to load on the same portion of the RStudio windows. Okay, let me go here. So I'm talking about those boxes. If you check mark, those boxes, the target library, a target package will be loaded. Okay. Okay, so that's the how to install and load a package. Okay, so going back to the this flowchart, step number 7, we are about right here. Okay. Let's use the read underscore SPSS function in Heaven package to read in the sample data called the Chapman.sav. Okay, so actually so far, I like to integrate the 3 command lines like this. First line is set the working directly, and the second line is to load the Heaven package, and the line 3 is to read the data file and place that data file as the data object, okay, inside the R. Okay, so that's something that we have to do. Whenever we read in the data, we have to store the data as the data object name, which has to have a name. So this is a way that we do, okay? Right here, on the line 3, I say Chapman.dat. That's the name of the data object I want to name. So this name can be anything, anything you want to name, like your child. as far as you can remember, which object is which, it has to be anything, right? Like your child.
So can that be any kind of file? If it's
Are you talking about the right-hand side?
You say .dat, is that?
No, this is just the name of the object name. It's not a file.
Oh.
Yeah, this is only inside the R. So I really didn't have to say .dat either.
Oh.
It could have been that just a Chapman, or it could have been Hiba.
Okay.
Yeah, or Hiba.dat.
Okay.
Anything.
Got
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then use the this operator. This is a greater or smaller, which way you read it, and the a dash, a combination of those 2 characters is really, we can interpret that as the assigned to. Okay, from right-hand side of the that operator is assigned to the left-hand side. So that's how it should be interpreted. Okay, so the right-hand side of that operator, I said read underscore SPSS. That's a function to read the SPSS file, which is a Chapman.sav. Okay, so I will show you right on R, and let me open, because I like to avoid the typing to type something incorrectly. So let me open the already existing series of the commands. So right now it's exactly the same up to line number 3. Okay, can you see? It can be bigger. Okay, let me make it bigger so that you can see better. Okay, appearance, and I will try 16. Okay, a little bit better. Okay, the first line here, I will use a keyboard shortcut. On Mac, Command Return, and if it's the Windows, it's a Control Return. Okay, set the working directly and load the library. The package heaven. Okay. Well, it says that the heaven package was built under newer version of R than I have. So whenever it happens, it gives me a warning. But this kind of warning usually is not an issue, but sometimes it could be an issue. So it's a good idea to keep updating your R version from time to time. Okay. And then finally, this line, Chapman.dat to be the data. And then I like to ask you to pay attention right here. This is the window where you will see a list of the objects that you have. And the data will be stored as an object. So the data will appear in here once I run this line. Okay? Okay, don't blink. Like that. Okay? And then, okay, I can make this portion a little bit bigger so that you can see the entire. So it's the name of the object, Chapman.dat, and it says that 200 observations of the 8 variables. So it provides the basic information. And then also, if you click on this icon, it will give you a little bit more information, which makes sometimes sense, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. But it gives some information. On the next slide, I believe I said that if I click on the name of the object or this icon right here on the right-hand side of that line, it will show you data in the spreadsheet format, which is convenient in many cases. Okay, so I will show you what's going to happen. All right, I will click right here, like that. So it will show the data in a spreadsheet format. The bad news is that we cannot do anything. We cannot manipulate data right on here. This is just a viewer. So that just to let you know. Okay, so all the data manipulation has to be done by our syntax, which means that we have to write a command on the script file. Okay, but which is not too bad actually. It's getting easier and easier. All right, but by the way, this is the example data set that I started using a long time ago when I started teaching the introductory statistics, in one of my previous institutions, but came with a book that I used as a textbook actually. So it is essentially the data set about the cholesterol level and the blood pressure and the height and weight and coronary incidence and so on. Okay, so that's the what the data set is about. Okay, so let me go back to the slides. Okay, we have about 10 more minutes, so it's quite clear by now that I won't be able to cover all the slides. All right, but as I said, I will carry over the rest of the materials to the second session. Okay, so this is pretty much what I showed you actually. So only thing I didn't talk about was that what appears on the console. Okay, so I said that when a command line is executed, the line will show up in the console window. And if there is no warning or error it appears, that's a good sign actually. So in my case, let me go to the R. Well, only warning I got was that, okay, you don't have the newer R software version, that's all. And as I said, it is not a big deal unless you have the very, very old version, okay? So in this case, that's good. Okay. Any questions?
I downloaded your data file, but that command is not pulling up the data set.
Really? Okay. Are you sure you have your data in the working directly?
Oh, so it needs to be in the same file that the first path is in?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
your data has to be in the your working directly. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. And actually, I'm glad that you asked a question, but what I'm presenting, okay, create a working directly and have your data file in your working directly. That is only a one strategy, but I consider that as a very convenient strategy, and I almost always do that. 99.9% of the time, I do that. However, it is possible to read something outside of the working directly too. But in order to do that, you have to specify the full path in addition to the data file name. Okay, but if you do that, yes, it is possible. Okay, but good thing is that once you have everything in your working directly, you don't have to specify the path. And most of the time, it works based on my experience. But sometimes, you may have to pull out something, outside of your working directly. Okay, like there is the one possibility that you load the data directly from my cloud storage. Actually, you can do that, and in order to do that, you specify the HTTP address of the location of the data, and the R can reach that cloud space and pull out the data as well. So actually, when I did the Bayesian workshop, I used that strategy. But here I decided not to do, but because that having the data file locally is the more realistic situation that you will have for your own project. Okay. All right. So I showed you this to view the imported data. Click on the either data object name or that little icon, spreadsheet icon. But again, this is just a viewer and not the editor. So you cannot do any data manipulation right on here. But it's good that we can see the data in this format. Okay. All right. A little bit of the sidetrack again, variable names and the other things. Okay, so for R, well, this is true for many other software, but some software doesn't have this restriction, but the R has the restriction that the variable name has to start with a Roman letter. Okay, so you cannot have a variable name that starts with the numeric, like a 4 or 0, you cannot do that. Okay, and also your variable name cannot start with the special character like a percentage sign or a dollar sign. Okay, so those are the things that you might want to be careful when you prepare your data. Okay, depending on the software, some other software allows the special characters or the numeric to start with the variable name, but the R doesn't accept that. Okay, so it will replace with something else that you may not like. Okay. All right. Any questions? Okay. And also, you have to be careful that the R is a case sensitive. So which means that the R will distinguish the lowercase and the uppercase. Okay. So for example, variable name student ID. Let's say you want student ID look like this: stu ID with the uppercase for the first S and the uppercase I and D. That looks very easy to read. However, that is going to be really the pattern that you have to have for every time you specify this variable name. So for example, if you specify stu ID in all lowercase, R will consider that it's not the same as the stu ID, the first stu ID. Okay, so you have to be consistent in terms of the combination of the uppercase and lowercase. And that is also same as the name of the package too, or the function, name of the function. For example, read underscore SPSS. Notice that they are all in lowercase, although that in everyday life, when we say SPSS, we use uppercase, but on R function name, it is a lowercase. So you cannot say read underscore SPSS with the uppercase like this. Okay, so that's the few things that I'd like to give you a little bit of the caution when you use R. Again, one is case sensitive, and the other one is a variable name cannot start with the numeric or special characters. All right. And another sidetrack, reading the CSV file. We just saw that how to read the SPSS file, but again, in order to read the CSV file, we don't need an additional package. Base package will do. So the function that we need to use is called the read.csv, not the underscore, read.csv. Okay, and it can work as simple as this. So with the read.csv within the parentheses, first specify the variable name with a double quotation, and then comma and say header equals to T, uppercase T. Uppercase T means true. So which really means is that yes, we have the headers for that data file, which means we have variable names as the first row of the data. Okay. So if you don't, you say header equals to F, uppercase F. That is the false. Okay. But I believe that the header equals to T is the default. So probably you don't have to explicitly say, but I wanted to point that out. Okay, so you have an option to have the header yes or no. That's at least that something convenient. For example, in my class, SEM class I teach, I use M plus, and M plus, data file, we cannot really specify variable names in a data file. So that is I would say that is a very inconvenient, but we have to follow what they decided to do. So the good thing about R is that we can read in the M plus data file directly, and then specify the variable names later, as a second step, just like we do for M plus. Or, we can read the SPSS file or Stata file or SAS file or Excel file with the data, variable names already existed in the data file too. So that is the, very flexible, and the strengths of the R, I would say. Very flexible in terms of the reading data. Okay, so time is approaching, and probably I will stop here, but I will give you what's coming next. Okay, so we only covered the step number 7, reading the data file, but of course the next step is actually doing something. Okay, so in this example, actually I use the describe function in the another package called the psych to run the descriptive statistics. And also I'm going to show you another package called the dplyr, which is very convenient for data manipulation. So I have the examples of how to select the subset of the variables, and also subset of the observations, based on the specification that you might want to specify. So that's the what's coming next. And I apologize that I couldn't cover everything, but since it's 12 o'clock, I will stop here, and I hope that everyone will come back for the second session.